Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another kick-ass podcast with Command Your Confidence. And Tino, what's up, buddy? How's it going today?
It's good, brother. How's everything?
Rocking and rolling, man.
Oh
Just
yeah.
keeping busy, living the dream, working on content, living life. It's a nice day outside, so I was able to actually when I walked outside, do a little bit of deep breathing and stuff, get me in the mood.
Yep. I just did the same thing. I went for a walk about 30 minutes ago. It was a decent day out. The sun's actually shining for once out here. So yeah, man, taking advantage of it.
Rock on. Well, hey, today we wanted to talk to you guys about, women in business because you had brought this to my attention when we were setting up the show that how the two go hand in hand. And
Yeah.
so and we were also mentioning on our show about 2 weeks ago about doing some business stuff. So, what a way to kind of get rolling on the business stuff by mingling that in with meeting women. And I'll let you get roll starting on the topic here, and then since you came up with the suggestion from that, we'll just kind of roll from there. So yeah,
Sure.
so tell me, how do you think it is both women in business are the skill sets, I should say.
hmm Well, it's very, very similar when it comes to like the setup of business and the execution of like getting leads, generating sales, following up with people, making approaches, like that all kind of relates to women. I mean, it's very, very similar. Like, so the way I see it is like every business has a what? A product or a service.
Hmm.
And for that to be uh, a flourishing business, you need a good product. And same thing goes for dating and relationships. You're the product. Like you are the person you're selling yourself essentially.
Right, that's
So
true.
you have to start there. Like if you have that, you work on yourself, as in going to the gym, making sure you're grooming properly, getting good style, work on your communication skills, like having things in your life that you're doing, good hobbies and whatnot. That's your product. You're literally advertising to the world what kind of guy you are and what you're all about. So that's like
Hmm.
step one, making sure you just have a badass product. And you like being yourself, like working on your self improvement. That's like number one.
No, I really like what you have to say because that is true. Because yeah, when you're going out there and actually trying to meet women and everything, you gotta figure out, you gotta kind of work on yourself and develop some good qualities about yourself. Like you said, fitness, communication skills, mindset, and just building a good life for yourself in general. Because that's going
Mhm.
to really help you become strengthen the brand of you, if that's what you want to call it.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we are all our own personal brands. And if you kind of think of your life as you're the CEO of what you're doing, then you'll have that business mindset. And if you do have a business of your own or you work in a business, you'll understand that a lot of that stuff is carrying over to like your personal life. There's not a lot of difference when it comes to mindset and having that business mindset to your personal life too.
Hmm. Now, I like what you just said, the CEO of your life. I think there was actually a book out there called "Be the CEO of Your Life" and everything.
Probably. Yeah, I think
Um,
I stole that from somebody.
uh, no, but that but no, it's a good analogy because I mean I've heard that everywhere. Maybe I
Mhm.
got to do a podcast on that. But yeah, no, no, that's true because you are basically the CEO. You are responsible for your own life. You're
Yep.
strengthening yourself. You're getting yourself out there. And I mean, you're pretty much responsible for going out there and putting yourself your best foot forward and creating the best life for yourself. So you have that choice. And the more you can strengthen yourself and your brand, the more, I mean, whether it be with your business or with talking to women, the more luck you're going to have with getting your product out there, or just find when you're out there socializing with women, the more you're going to be able to present your best self to that woman and everything when you're out there talking to her. And
Mhm.
so you have that choice to make that happen, but you can also be a bad CEO of your life and choose to
Sure.
go in the opposite direction where you don't take the initiative to make yourself a better person. You don't pay attention to some of the warning signs that are keeping you from actually having success in life. And therefore you can be screwing yourself over as well. And so you
Mhm.
have the choice either for, strengthen the brand of you, or or how should I put not strengthen the brand of you.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, you go to any business, you go to any company, they all have what rules and procedures, they have standards, they have policies that they follow, and there's a chain of command. You know, the CEO has his orders, he does what he needs to do, he divvies that up into the people that are managers, people underneath them, workers. Your life is really no different. Like, as long as you have standards in your life, you have rules and operating procedures that you follow, meaning your day-to-day tasks, what do your goals look like, what does your lifestyle look like, essentially, and who are the people that you interact with, what kind of relationships do you have with those people, what roles do they have in your life. Like, that's another thing too that business teaches you, when it comes to women. Like, there's obviously a role that she's going to have to fill in your lifestyle. I mean, there's
Hmm.
something, I mean, it might not be like a job position. It could be, but something, maybe she cooks for you, she cleans for you, she does XYZ for you. She helps you fulfill some type of role for your life and your development. So you have to figure that out. And you're not gonna know what that role is if you don't have something in place for a woman to come into. That's why, like, you need to have your lifestyle set up for her to enter your frame, because otherwise she's gonna be like, what am I doing here?
Hmm.
What's the roles? What are my responsibilities?
Right. No, and now that I think about it, this is always a good thing when it comes to both business and women, is just kind of having clarity of what you want and who you are as a person, having clarity of your company and your brand and your mission statement in life.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
important to, like, I believe, have clarity and all that, because when you have clarity in who you are, when you have clarity in what you want in life and stuff, you're gonna actually go out there and make it happen. And you're not gonna. I mean, you can not be clear, but then you're going to find yourself scattered. You're going to be confused, and you're not going to present your best product. The best features of your product, or the best features of yourself, and you don't have clarity of, like, your product and who you are as a person.
Hmm. Yeah, the vision's key. You have to know exactly what kind of life you want to live and who you want to embody as a man. Like, what do you want to do in your life? What do you want to stand for? What do you want to, ideally have as a legacy? And that's like the vision for yourself. So, even women included in that, how do you see women being in your life? Do you see that as something that, she can add to what you're doing? She can kind of help you out, be a good solid support system. Like, what does that look like? So clarity is key, because the same in business. Like, if you don't know what your your purpose is in your business, like, what is this business for? Who is it serving? What is this going to do? What problem does this solve? It's going to be hard to market. So that's kind of like the next step of it. Like, once you have that product, putting yourself out there, marketing presenting yourself is the follow up to that. So how you're not going to know that without having a clear vision, though.
Right. No, and that's true. And you think that's where a lot of guys get lost these days, not with just with women, but with not just with women, but with their business as well. As they just lack that clarity in what they want, and clarity in what their brand's all about and what their business is all about.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, I even had this issue when I started my business. Like, I would always think about just the clients, getting money, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm sure guys do this too with women. They look at the external outcome. Man, I just want sex. I just want a girlfriend. I just want XYZ. But they forget that you have to create value first for that to even come. Like, you have to have something that, um the business solves outside of just getting money and getting clients. That stuff will come once you have the ability to make somebody else's life better. You're adding value in some way. With women, it's like the exact same thing. I mean, if you're just talking to girls because you just want to get laid, just want to get numbers, just looking to, like, rack up your body count and stuff, yeah, you might get some success, but it's not going to lead to a long-term fulfilling lifestyle or fulfilling dating life, really, in that category. You have to have value. You have to give value, and you have to know exactly, um, what it is that you stand for, and what
Well,
role that
I
serves.
like that. I'm going to give you an applause here. Can you hear my applause? Very, very good.
I like that.
No, I like that because, like, no, I think you got to have clarity, like, on the value you can give a woman, and the kind of, like, what you want out of it. There's got to be, like, yeah, everyone wants to get a number, go on dates, and, like, rack up their notch count, whatever you want to call it. But I
Mhm.
think there's got to be more to it than just that. You got to
Yeah.
bring more value to the woman. You know, to even make, you got to provide good customer service to make her want to come back.
Exactly. Yep.
And I think a lot of guys just, forget about that. I ignored the customer service thing, but I'm like, I'm doing it in business. I know what that's like at my job, but like when I'm, you know, it was weird because I didn't think about that with women at first. When you wanted them to come back to you, you got to provide value and great customer service because they're going to see that in you when you can be authentic and you have clarity in yourself.
Hmm. Yeah, man, it's facts, and like people will neglect that part because it's not super popular, I guess, to talk about, or it's like, especially in this space, like there's not a lot of guys that say like, oh, you like please your woman or give her value or do X, Y, Z with her. You have to do that stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, like if you have a customer walking into your business and they buy your product, but then you treat them like trash, well, they're not going to come back. They're going to take it and they're gonna dip. So if you're dealing with women, like you want to make it a good time for them also. Like it's not all about you. It is about you, but there's another person involved in that. So making sure that she's having a good time, um, giving value in some way. It's not like your priority that she needs to have a good time, but you're looking out for your best interest and making sure that she's enjoying herself. And if she's
Hmm.
not, I mean, maybe you have either it's a bad product or just not a good fit.
Hmm. Right. And I'm thinking too that now that I think about it, you want to, kind of have standards too, like because like in business too, you can have clients though who are kind of will walk all over you if you don't have
Yeah.
standards and stuff. And that same goes with
Yep.
like when you're with a woman that she can walk all over you if you don't have set standards for yourself.
100%.
And so it's important to have clarity on that as well.
Hmm. Yeah, that's the first thing that I do when I sign on a new client is I'll go over my policies and my procedures and say, "Hey, this is what you can expect from me. This is what I can expect from you as a client." And any company will do that. Any functioning, well-run company will have a list of policies and say, "This is what we tolerate. This is what we don't tolerate." And in dating, it's literally no different. Like you need to have certain standards, expectations, certain boundaries that you don't like, that a woman knows where you stand. So this is the thing that guys always complain about. Girls like going to the club all the time, like dressing up and going out with her single friends, and she's always doing that without me, XYZ. Well, did you ever state that boundary? Did you ever tell her like you're not okay with that? Like being verbal and not being a dick, but being assertive and being confident in what you're saying. Say, hey, I'm not okay with this. I don't like when this happens or XYZ. Now, granted, this is probably stuff you do when you're a little further along, involved with this girl, but you
Hmm.
need to establish boundaries at some point. Most of the time, earlier on, is better, just because she knows, so there's no like surprises. But yeah, absolutely, you have to know what you're not okay with and what you are okay with.
Hmm. Right. And you think that's hard for a hard skill for guys to develop both in business and like and with dating as well as just setting boundaries? And why do you think that's
Mhm.
would be difficult for them?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think if you're like me at all, you grew up a nice guy and you kind of had these like people pleasing tendencies where you just wanted to make sure the other person was good, that their needs were met, and then you kind of neglected your own. That I think a lot of guys suffer from that nice guy syndrome where they just want to over please, over validate themselves or over validate the girl, and they forget about their own well-being and their own standards. So I think that's where it comes from. It's not a death sentence. Like you could definitely change that mentality. You don't have to stay there. But it takes work and it takes the ability to see your own value, know what your worth is. And I think all that comes from having purpose in your life, honestly.
Hmm. Yeah, and that again, that comes with having clarity, like we were talking about it
Yep,
earlier, is having purpose. So
for sure.
I think that's a lot of people just fail to like have clarity on a lot of things, and that's where they kind of get sidetracked on things too.
Hmm.
So,
I agree. Yeah, clarity's big. You have to. That's like the first step I take with things that I'm trying to build or take with clients is like having a vision, like knowing where you're going, because then you can start to chart out a course to get there. So clarity is huge. You have to have
mhm,
clarity.
right. No, that's a good one too. Vision, like you would, same with business and women. You got to have a vision. You got to draw out the vision, like what it is, like steps you got to, where you are right now. What are the processes you need to implement to get where you're at, and how do you see the end goal?
Yeah. Yeah, because some guys will go, they'll go in blind and just be like, I'm just gonna wing it. I'm just gonna talk to this girl and not have a plan, not have like a system in place to court her, to vet her, to ask for the number, to know how to escalate things. They just like, I'm just gonna fucking go for it. And like that usually, I mean, if you could probably do it if you're very like confident and you know how to like sell yourself well. But if you want to be efficient and you want to have like a good optimized plan, like be a guy with a plan. Like don't just talk to a girl and be like, whatever. Like obviously have no expectations and just, don't care too much about the outcome. But if you like her and you see that there's a vibe and you see that there's a connection potentially, get the number, follow up with her, set up a date, like get in the habit of making those things automatic, because it's the same thing with potential clients. Like if you see a prospect, they're a good lead, you're going to want to follow up with them, you're going to want to connect with them because they could be a client or a customer. You never know until you make you make
Right.
that approach.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's really good. Well said. That's that's a lot of killer knowledge right there, man. It's funny how all
Your
this stuff
business game,
really kind of goes hand in hand. But
literally.
we were talking earlier about putting yourself out there. So
Hmm.
again, with business and with women, you gotta, even though how are you gonna present yourself in your product when you're out there like trying to sell a product or just trying to talk to a woman. And I think that all again, we're talking about having the clarity, but being able to have the confidence and believing in yourself and the brand. So, like, believing in who you are as a person when you're out there trying to put your best foot forward when you're talking to women, believing in the product and service that you're selling when you're trying to sell to a client. Because if you lack the belief in yourself, you lack the belief in your product, then that's going to really screw you over. But when you believe in yourself, you're going to present everything with confidence.
Hmm.
And you're going to do that because you know that your brand is unique, that your product is unique. I like how we're talking about. I'm doing both analogies at the same time here, but it's true. And you got to figure out, like, well, once you know who you are as a person, how can you present those best personality traits that women are going to find attractive about you. The same goes with your product. When you're trying to sell your product or service to a client, how are you going to present that to that particular client?
Yeah. Yeah, it all comes down to marketing too. One question though, I think every guy should ask himself, whether you are a business person or you're trying to obviously like talk to women and get them involved in your life. This is just a question that I think every guy needs to ask. If you did have a product or a service in your business, would you yourself buy it? And that's something I think every guy needs to have an answer for. If you'd buy it, it's a pretty good product. Same thing with dating. Would you date yourself as you currently are? If the answer to that question is no, then you got some work to do. Like if you're got Cheeto dust on your fingers, you're playing video games every day and you're not really ambitious, not doing much, would you date yourself? Like honest answer. And if that answer is no, you got some work to do. And like
Mhm.
same thing with a product, like you gotta really like take your own medicine essentially. Like if you have a product, like would you buy it yourself? Would you invest into it? So that's something you got to answer.
Right. See, and another thing it just came to mind too is just refining yourself and your product too. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
when you're, same thing when you're, trying to get good at talking to women for the first time, or just, first time you got to figure, you're going to go through a process. You're going to your product but you might not be presenting yourself as strongly as you're thinking, so you got
Hmm.
to through trial and error refine that. The same goes with
Yep.
your product or service. If it's something you're not getting the results that you want with your product or service, and you're getting a lot of complaints from customers and everything, you got to
Mhm.
figure out how can you refine it to make it better. And it's all, like, again, a learning process. And I think even once you kind of refined it, there's always ways to, have it grow and strengthen it, like, from
Sure.
there. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Yeah, I think there's always something that you can do. I mean, I don't think there's ever a such thing as like a perfect product or a perfect person. I mean, that doesn't exist. So there's always something you can do to continually improve it. But then you have to also think about what is your target demographic, meaning who you selling to and why is that your client avatar? So what kind of women are you into? Is it Latinas, like um, Russian girls, like Europeans? Like, what kind of women are you into? Not only looks wise, but personality wise. You like a girl who's a little bit more reserved, girl who's a little bit more extroverted, some girl who's more motherly. Like you have to know that too. And coming back to the marketing thing, that's also going to play into it because if you're specific with the type of women that you want to attract, then you'll know exactly how to present yourself to attract those type of girls. So if you're a gym guy, you like going to the gym, you're into fitness, well, most likely you're going to attract a girl who's also into fitness and who's also at the gym, takes a healthy lifestyle, all that kind of stuff. So that comes into play too, like knowing who it is that you're trying to attract and being specific with that.
Hmm. And again, that all boils down to having clarity.
Dude, it literally does.
Hmm. No, but I mean, again, yeah. So I think like but sometimes I realize when it comes to learning as far as the type of women personality wise, like I've kind of learned that through just going through the experimentation, like just kind of
Sure.
seeing what type of women I find attractive and everything, and I pretty much I can tell the ones that I kind of do that I kind of are into personality wise. I have more of a chance of having a date with them and seeing them a couple times rather than the ones where I really don't, even though they might be cute and beautiful, if there's nothing personality wise, there's nothing that else besides the looks. Like those ended up really going nowhere.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it comes down to having those standards again. Like if you know the kind of women that you want, the kind of caliber of women you want to deal with, then you won't tolerate really anything else besides that. And same thing for like a business. If you have certain standards and you have a certain caliber of clientele you want to work with, well, if they're not meeting that standard, then they're not your customers. They're not your clients. And if you're always worried about that kind of person coming in and being a part of your ecosystem, well, you have to kind of just optimize your funnels. And like that, I guess tangibly that means like working on just like your approach, your style, the way you're communicating, your confidence, your mindset. I mean, yeah, like all those things are connected.
Hmm. Now, why don't we talk about like so? How did I'm just kind of curious to give people an idea, like someone who may just be starting from scratch,
Hmm.
both with business and with women. What would you say some of your experiences have been with that? Just kind of starting from scratch, and kind of what
Yeah.
you've learned from your experiences.
I'd say starting from scratch, kind of like to the first point I made, like you have to focus on the product, make sure that that is solid, like have a foundation as a man, go to the gym, read books, work on yourself, get smarter, make some good money, get a better job, find your purpose, um, create routines in your life, be disciplined, like have all these great things going on in your life.
Hmm.
First, like that is like a must, like first thing you should do. Um, and then start testing the market, like see what kind of girls you vibe with, see how your approach is. Are you confident in making approaches, or you need a little bit work? You have approach anxiety even, find out what is like after you start taking some steps to make your life better, get some actual real world feedback and start like putting yourself out there. Same thing with business. Like you're not going to know what you have to change until you start getting data and saying, okay, this didn't work. Let me start
Hmm.
changing up this approach, or this didn't exactly work with marketing. Let me change this. So you have to get some real world feedback once you have a good product first. Like you can't you can't sell something that isn't quality. There's nobody's gonna buy it.
Right. So, like, how would you say though, like, I mean, because I've been there too. When I first, wanted to start out business, I was, I even haven't even had the. It took me a while to find the clients to even figure out like where I stood as far as that, like the skills and product wise,
Hmm.
um, and I'm sure you probably had the same thing happen to you, like when you started to go into coaching, that
Hmm.
you were putting in the work and you just weren't getting the results and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
how were you able to you know make that happen for yourself? Because like again, with business and in women, you got to be persistent.
Yeah. Well, yeah, persistence was huge, and just being consistent with action and just not giving up on it, like keeping at it and trying some different things out. I've done so many different things when it comes to just my processes, the way I make videos, the way I kind of articulate my ideas, like how I present myself in front of the camera, how I coach people, like all that has kind of taken shape over time. It's funny, I was even just looking back at some of my old videos from like 2018, like 4 or 5 years ago, and it's just a massive difference when it comes to just confidence and feeling like comfortable in front of the camera.
Hmm.
So it does take time. You're gonna have to figure out your unique style, the way that the way that feels good for you. But yeah, you just have to take note and just track the progress, see where you're going, see what's working, see what isn't working, and just be honest and start to take those little changes in the process when you can.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's a journey for sure. Like I started doing stuff, and at first I wasn't charging a super high rate because I was super new, so I didn't really know much of anything, um, and I didn't really value my time as much as I do now. So I was kind of learning that through the process. But yeah, it just takes time.
Hmm. No, I like that. Like, I think it's just like all through experience and stuff and being
Yeah.
persistent. Like you were saying, I kind of look back to where even when I started with my side business and stuff, but I charged like a low rate and everything. It's like I said,
Mhm.
I was new
Yeah.
and I didn't value my time. But as I gained more experience and learned new skill sets and
Yep.
got more testimonials from clients, that I valued my work and my time a little more, so I could charge like a higher rate.
Exactly.
And sometimes too, there's a lot of finding creative approaches to making stuff happen. With as far as marketing and stuff to get my name out there, and just kind of being patient and stuff like that. Just trying to figure out, well, what can I do to kind of get more clients in? What can I do when I get an actual phone call from someone? How can I sell my services to clients in a confident manner, and how can I present
Hmm.
myself as well? And then
Hmm.
the same thing with women too, just kind of, you go out there and like you're really not having any success at first, and like you're just kind of like, so you're, like you said, you're just kind of focused on the results and stuff. And
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it's good. I mean, everyone does that. I think
Hmm.
that can be a distraction sometimes from, 'cause I think when you focus on the results, you forget the reason why you're doing this and why you're on this journey, and you forget about like, that you have it's a process and everything, and you got to be persistent.
Hmm.
Um, so I mean, that's why it's important not to, try to have that awareness when you're focusing on results, to kind of like just focus on kind of the process, and becoming stronger. Because I think once you focus on the process and you go out there and implement things into the real world, the more you're going to refine things and you're going to get better at things, and the more you'll grow in your own value and stuff, and the more experience you'll gain. And from there, you know your self-worth, both when it comes to your business and when it comes to meeting women, and just being around meeting other people in general.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, really, experience is your best teacher, and that's going to give you every type of feedback that you need. Like if you'll start to notice how your speech patterns are, the way you articulate yourself, like how confident you feel when you're talking to people, your ability to make connections and following up with them. Like, how does that work? Do you like not only do you get people's phone numbers, but can you actually foster a relationship? Can you follow up with them, take them out for a drink, or make sure that they're still in contact with you, because like everybody can get a number, but does it turn into anything? Like that's what you need to start tracking too. So yeah, it's just a matter of getting experience and being willing to look stupid a few times, because you're not going to know what to do in the beginning. Nobody really does.
Yeah,
But yeah, you take your lumps and you got to move on.
yeah. I mean, and even when have had that success and everything with women in your business too, there's going to be times where it's not going to be there as like it was, and you
Yeah,
have to learn to deal with it. I think, I do believe, like, life is like a roller coaster. You would say the stock market. You're going to have
sure.
your moments where you get your highs and then your lows, but it's up to you to figure out, when that happens to you, how to perceive that and everything.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it comes down to that self-awareness and knowing what your strengths and weaknesses are, and making sure that that's pretty dialed in, because then
Right.
you give yourself that feedback.
Hmm. Now, what about, like, we're talking about putting your product and putting yourself out there. Would you? I think another good thing, we got clarity and stuff. We got, like, we're talking about marketing and putting yourself out there. What about? I think mindset is very important too.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, mindset's really everything. I mean, if that's kind of where your ideas come from. So if you had an idea for a business or a product or really anything, I mean, that's where it starts, is in your mind. So that's how you kind of get things rolling. And then obviously taking action on that kind of makes it a reality. But you have to believe that it is a good product. You have to believe that you are a valuable person, that you know what your worth is. Because if you don't, then it's going to come across in your communications, going to come across in your marketing, it's going to come across in your sales calls, and really everything you do. So yeah, your mindset is huge.
Hmm. Right. No, and I think just having the right mindset is gonna get you on the right path and everything, and it's
Yeah.
gonna help you deal with all the setbacks that you're going to face along the road. And
Hmm.
you have the right mindset about things, like when things come up, you'll be able to fine tune that, or being aware that, well, hey, maybe, well, this attitude that I'm having is not the right, attitude to have. Maybe I got to change, way I'm thinking about this or that. And I think a lot of people forget about that.
Yeah. Definitely. And some guys have the mindset of too, like they worry too much about what a girl is gonna think, or if she likes him or not. And the same thing can be said for business. Like I get onto sales calls and I'm not thinking like I need this client, I hope they like me. I'm thinking I hope I like them. I hope they make sense for my business and they're a
Hmm.
good fit for what I have to offer. And it has to be mutual, but I'm not thinking I need this person to work with me. I'm desperate. I hope it works out. I'm hoping that they are a good organic fit for what I have to offer. And with
Hmm.
women, it's the same thing. Like you have to really think, you know, am I even gonna like this girl? Does it make sense for me? Is there a good connection? Is there a good vibe? Do our values align? Like you got to think of it from your perspective, and not too much about worrying too much about what she thinks about you.
Hmm. You think that's a problem for most guys, or who want to start a business and want to go talk to girls? They just, they carry on to that worry and stuff. They hold on to that, and that
Hmm.
keeps them from taking action.
I think so. I mean, I think like anybody with some kind of people pleasing tendencies will generally think, well, is this other person going to like me? Are they going to judge me? Are they going to disrespect me? Like that fear is kind of always going to be in the back of your mind, but you have to work through that fear, and you have to be okay with being rejected. You have to be okay with getting a couple no's, because that's going to happen in business and relationships.
Hmm.
You're going to get rejected. You're going to get people that turn your offer down, or they don't quite see the value that you provide, and that's okay. It's not meant for them, or you just have things to do to refine your approach a little bit more. It's not the end of the world. You just have to learn from that situation and get better from it. So
Hmm.
that's one of the things too, is like in terms of mindset, you have to be okay with getting rejected, because it's gonna happen.
Hmm. Right. No, I been on sales calls with people where, and go through, and yeah, it happens. Like,
Yeah.
mm, it's got to figure out how to, do it better and stuff.
Yep.
But it's a process. I kind of put out to the client, well, this is what I can offer, this is what I can do, and this is what I'm going to charge. And some people don't either; they don't want to pay for the value that I have to offer.
Yep.
They're like, well, we'll look somewhere else, and it's frustrating, but that's just I know what I'm worth right now,
Yeah. Exactly.
and
Yeah.
I'm not going to settle.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean that's a powerful mindset to have because most guys do settle and they'll settle for like a girl who isn't really exciting to them or maybe isn't as fun to be around. They don't really fit their lifestyle just because they're like, "Oh, I don't want to be lonely," and they settle. And then they settle for a girl that is probably less than they feel like they deserve, just
Right,
because they're in scarcity. They don't think they can do more.
right, exactly. And I think, yeah, and that really, gonna that can also affect their mindset too, because they're gonna be unhappy and stuff.
Yeah, it all plays into it.
Hmm. But no, that I mean that's one of the excuse me, your throat's a little dry here. But I know that's one of the things that like I've learned. I used to like have like a scarcity mindset like that, and when I grew out of that, I realized, well, hey, I'm not that desperate where, even though it might be, I mean, even when I'm going through a dry spell, nothing's happening. I have an idea of the type of girl that I want to meet and everything. So I'm not going to be that desperate just to like settle or, just to see someone. I mean, I'll give it a try, but I mean, other than that, no. And I have like I said, developed my standards too.
Yep.
And but most people who don't have that, they'll just settle for anything. And you always talk about this, but I bring it up all the time. But you got to be comfortable with being by yourself all the time. It could be
That's
lonely,
it.
yes, but you'll once you can learn to do that, you won't, be I should say that needy to settle down with someone. And plus, like I think when you're kind of working on yourself and or whatever it is you're doing, I mean, that's going to help out a lot too. And I mean, you can use the same type of analogy for business as well.
Hmm. Yeah, it's exactly the same. I mean, you got to have that self-worth and a solid relationship with yourself and with, your business. You got to make sure that it's something that you are proud of. It's something that you're inspired by, and you got to work your mentality into believing that you deserve, a successful business, a successful life, and that takes time. It
Mhm.
takes a lot of work to really get there. Um, but yeah, eventually you kind of just break through some of your limiting beliefs, maybe your own barriers, your own self-sabotaging ways, and then you're like, damn, I do actually deserve this and I can get it. It's just a matter of being patient.
Right, exactly. I mean, and I noticed too, even like when you kind of break free from that, those same beliefs and thoughts do come back to haunt you sometimes too.
Oh
But I
yeah.
think it's when you're having, a bad experience and setbacks in life and everything. And yeah, that's going to stick around for a bit, but you eventually got to learn to be aware of that and let go of that. You can't hold on to that, and that's where you got to come in and be grateful for the successes that you've already had in your life, because that just help you push through that. And I mean, and I always mention this too, is like when you're going through a downtime, it's like, just kind of be grateful for what it is you have achieved and what you do. You have the same goes like when you're in a, not just with women, but when you have a business and you're going through a point in your business where it's really low and you're like, you think when you think everything's gonna end, you got to think about like, be grateful for the stuff that you have accomplished with it. And then, like you said, go figure out what you can do to refine that way to modify, modify everything so you can market that to people your
Mhm.
business.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can't be too attached to really any kind of situation. Like if you have a great month in business, like good for you. Like give yourself some praise, like be proud of what happened, but then don't be so tied to it because there's a new month. There's always something else that could happen. It could change very quickly. And same thing applies to the opposite end. Like if you have a bad month in business, hey, it is what it is, man. You just have to work your way from that. It's not the end of the world, but know that you have another month. You have another opportunity to make it better and to improve it. So like you can't be really too high, too low. You have to be somewhere right in the middle, be very neutral. which is why I think stoicism is so powerful because it helps you kind of stay grounded and not get too caught up in those emotions because sometimes um those can be deceiving.
Hmm. Right. No, I hear you. I mean, I'm sure you've been there too, where you achieved a lot in your life, but then you had a setback, and then you kind of get stuck in that mindset, and you had to learn to be aware of all like that. Hey, you're getting stuck in your own limiting beliefs again. You had to be aware just to move out of that and move forward.
Hmm. Yeah, 100%. I mean, one of my, I don't know if it's a limiting belief, but I guess a self-sabotaging thing I had was always being complacent. Like when I got some good results or when I um,
Right.
did some things that I noticed, I'm like, hey, this is really good. Like I'm making progress here. I would kind of like take it easy or like put the foot off the pedal and say, all right, I can coast. I could just chill now. And then like the results start to fumble and then you lose that momentum and then you got to start all back over again. So for me, this is actually a very recent thing I started working through in myself was even when that stuff happens, like it's all more the incentive to keep it going because if I do take a step back and chill and relax, then that's only going to unravel for me and I have to like pick back up everything that I did to get back to where I was. So the complacency for me was a big one. But that applies for any guy, like whatever your limiting belief is or whatever your like negative mindset is, it will come back. I mean, you're not going to defeat it 100%. It's going to come back probably when you least expect it. Most likely when you're starting to notice you're getting results, but that is an opportunity to you to like figure out how you can defeat that limiting belief.
Right, exactly. And even when certain events come up in your life as well, like, say that you're at a point where, I mean, we're meeting a lot of women, and something comes up and you sabotage yourself. The same with your business where things are going well and you're sabotaging yourself. Like, I think it's important. I think it's like just being aware of the situation and what got you there, and then being able to figure out, okay, well, how did this happen? What am I doing wrong? And what can I do to make that better? Like, I think that's very important too, because when you get in those situations, and you can't have that time to reflect upon things, and you can figure out, okay, well, this is why this happened. Because, like you mentioned about being complacent and everything, well, this happened to me because I got complacent, And
Hmm.
I think I've gotten complacent too, where I get comfortable with things, and
Yeah.
because of that, like when I got, like I was just telling you a while ago, I got complacent with the online dating apps to the point where I stopped really going out and approaching girls, in supermarkets and stuff like that. I was still doing the nighttime thing, and and I told you I was just getting back into that because I realized, like, like, hey, I've been complacent in this, and it's stunted
Hmm.
my growth a bit. And I had to, it's like I had to go back out there and go through the trials and tribulations again.
Hmm.
And, so if you want to make it happen, you'll see the problem as to why you got there, and you'll solve that problem yourself. And you can say the same thing with your business as well.
Hmm. Yeah, 100%. Like you got to point those out because they will come up. I mean, it's not like a matter of if, it's a matter of when you start to notice those limiting beliefs and how you deal with them is what matters. So you got to be
Hmm.
aware of them for sure.
Right, exactly. I know. Have you ever been in a situation there where it kind of took you some time to realize that you were limiting yourself? Like, maybe you just got on autopilot and stuff, and then you just kind of
Hmm.
you weren't thinking about that. Like, well, hey, the way that I was acting caused this to happen. The way I was believing about this caused this to happen.
Hmm. Oh yeah, I mean all the time. I mean, I'll probably continue to do that too. Like there's sometimes we just get lost in the sauce and we kind of
I like
we
it
get
lost in the sauce. That's a
yeah,
good
we just get like caught up
one.
in the work or caught up in like what we're doing the day to day, and it kind of like you said, it gets us on autopilot. So we're not conscious of these things that are maybe getting in the way or how we might potentially be limiting ourselves. So you do need to have that time of self reflection, of self analysis to really figure this stuff out. Because if you're not conscious of it, it's going to keep happening and you're going to keep fumbling and keep sabotaging yourself. And if you're not aware of that, well, it's literally going to like spiral and you're going to wonder what the hell's going on. So you,
Hmm.
you do need a certain level of self awareness and yeah, just like uh, the ability to check these things out and make sure that they don't become a problem.
Right. No, I like that. That's very good. We're gonna have to sum up very quickly because my battery on my computer is dying.
Uh,
But at least we almost got it. It looks like we almost got an hour in, which is good.
yeah,
I'm glad the computer lasted that long. Gotta get it like figure out. I gotta get a new USB thing that will do like a charger for power cable. So
yeah, yeah. Well, extra battery life.
yeah, damn it. But yeah, summing up on the show, then what would you say? What do you want our viewers to know, and what are some takeaways, and what are some actions they can take today to have success in business and with women?
Yeah, I'd say actions you can take today, just understand what kind of business you want to have. Like get clarity. Like we said that 100 times on this podcast, but know what it is that you want to run. Like what kind of business do you want to start? Is it what an industry? What do you want to sell? What does it look like? And that literally translates perfectly into relationships. Like what do you want that to look like? How do you want that to be in your life? And then start working on the product. Like
Mhm,
literally, it's just a matter of self improving, getting yourself in a better situation, improving your value as a man, um, and putting yourself out there. So clarity and knowing what it is that you want and having that direction, and then just taking steps to go in and getting that. So that's where it starts.
mhm. No, I like what you said. Yeah, definitely, like, have a plan. Yeah, I mean, everyone has a vision of what it is they want and where they
Yep.
wanna be, and it's just actually going out there and making it happen and, figuring writing down the process and what you gotta do to make that happen for yourself.
Hmm.
And then I would say too, just I think in order to get started, because a lot of people get lazy, they're stuck in a mindset, they're in the comfort zone and everything. They don't have
Yep.
the belief that they can go out there and make it. I would say too, just kind of go out there and take the action, challenge yourself to if you're afraid to try something, if you're not too sure this is going to happen, at least go out there and try. And then even if it doesn't work out, just kind of figure out ways to refine it. And I think you'll see as you go through that process, you'll start believing in yourself. And if you're doing the business, you'll believe more in your business and your product. And I think
Yep.
it's all like, it starts with an idea
Yeah, it does.
and from there you just kind of got to make that grow and like yeah, it might grow in many directions and everything to get you to where you want to be, but along the way you may have an idea of like starting out what the perfect you want to be like in front of women, what the perfect product might be and everything. But I think, as you continue to work on it, you're going to refine it and you're going to realize that, okay, well, this is like something you change into something totally. You are what you wanted, but you also had added some extra features to that as well, your product and your personality. And
Hmm.
I think that all starts just by going out there, taking action. Like even when you have setbacks, it's important to like go out there and just deal with the setbacks. And I think once you can kind of push through all that, the more you'll believe in yourself more when you have new challenges arise. Like when you believe in yourself more when you go out there and you're approaching women and stuff because you've actually gone out there and taken the action. You know what works and what doesn't work. You've refined yourself. The same with your product. You've gone out there, tried to market your product. It didn't work at first, but you figured out new ways to make it happen. And even though like maybe your product might not have been the best for some people because you got bad reviews or whatever, you figure out how to refine it. You do the customer service and everything, and eventually, like it takes off. But like I said, you're never gonna like do it if you don't go out there and take the action, or if you don't challenge yourself in the way you think about yourself. Because like I think if you just kind of get stuck and you're complacent and you're stuck in your comfort zone and shit like that, like you won't be able to make it happen. So you got to be able to challenge yourself to like make that happen if
Yep.
you can get there.
I agree. Challenge is needed.
Well, rock on, buddy. So let everyone know where they can find you.
Yeah, so if you just type in the sophisticated man, I'm on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. It should come up.
Okay, rock on. Yeah, be sure to check out his channel. He has some great content. And hey, guys, yeah, be sure to check out my channel. Command your comments while you're watching this. You're checking it out. But be sure to like, if you like the video, like give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the show. I'll be on next Saturday with another show and expect another upload in the middle of next week. And Yeah, I definitely look forward to seeing you again next month. It'll be March by the next time we get on.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Flying
Yeah,
by.
the year's already flying by. Well, thank you
Mhm.
very much for your time, and I definitely look forward to catching up with you in a couple weeks.
Sounds good, man. Appreciate you.
Rock on. Peace.